Hey, this is Adam back with another quick tip video, and today I wanted to go over what equipment I used because I think that a lot of people, whenever they first get into graphite or charcoal artwork, tend to overspend when they buy their equipment because they think you need to get the best of the best of the best. But everything that you're seeing flashing on the screen here was all done with 2 pencils. And with that said, I will go directly into the equipment because it's a little more complex than that. So let's start out with the paper. I use Strathmore 400 series, and this is an 18 by 24 inch paper, though they make various sizes and various weights. This is a medium weight recycled paper, which means it's kind of an off-white. But the reason I use this is because whenever I blend with Q-tips and blending stumps, which we'll talk about in a minute, the paper doesn't shred, it doesn't burnish, it holds stuff really well, holds charcoal really, really well. The pencils that I use 4 pencils, but really only 2 of them. Let's explain what I mean by that. So the majority of my drawings are done with 6B, which is extra soft charcoal, and I use this for the really, really black areas. I also use HB, which is hard charcoal, and I use this for the lighter gray type of areas. Both of these are like $3 for 2 pencils each, so this entire thing was $6. The paper, if I haven't mentioned it, is $23 for 24 sheets where I get it. I'm sure you could find it cheaper than that, but I just get mine in one store. So the other 2 pencils that I use are both graphite, and I only use these for outlines pretty much. This is an H, which is hard graphite, and it's made by Kimberly. The charcoal, by the way, is made by Generals. Those are about the cheapest you can get. And then this is Kimberly B, which is a little bit darker than the H. I typically just use these for outlines, and that's about it. Both of these are also made by General. I use blending stumps, which can look like this. These were $2 for a pack of 6 of them. They can also look like that, big fat ones. I do a lot of blending with blending stumps and also Q-tips. The Q-tips I typically use for broader areas and stuff that needs to be a little smoother. The blending stumps, I basically treat them like a pencil. And I'll show you what I mean by that in just a minute. I use 2 scrap pieces of paper. The first one is just to put on the paper so I can rest my hand on it and draw. That way I don't get the oils and stuff from my hand on the drawing itself. The second piece of scrap paper I use is this dirty monstrosity here. And what I do is I grab extra soft charcoal and I scribble a bunch of it in one spot. Then I grab a Q-tip or a blending stump and I load that up into whatever I'm using, the Q-tip or the blending stump. Get the end black, and then I can use that to shade. Smoother areas I use the Q-tip, and then tighter fitting areas I use the blending stumps. The vast majority of the drawings that you saw earlier were done with that method. The erasers that I use are, so I rarely use this one. It's a General's tri-tip eraser, and this is really good for completely eliminating pencil marks on a paper. This will erase through most charcoal right down to the paper itself. This is only kind of like an emergency sort of thing where if I need to get something really bright white, like the tips of clouds, I'll use this. Or if I make a mistake, this is good for getting rid of mistakes. I use the kneaded eraser just typically to lighten things up. So if this is a drawing that I did, which it's not, it's just the cover of this thing, and I wanted to put in little clouds or I wanted to lighten up the edges of these petals, I would just push and twist and lift, and it would lift off the charcoal. Same thing here, I could lighten it up by just going around and twisting on the edges. So this is used for things like texture. Then the most important eraser I have is the Tombow Mono Zero eraser. It's a 2.33 millimeter eraser. As you can see, it acts like a mechanical pencil, and I use this all the time to clean up edges, to sharpen up edges, to add thin light white lines. If I wanted to add some white reflective weeds in here, I would just grab and pull up like little check marks, and it's perfect for doing stuff like that. The only other stuff that I use is, and I don't use this a lot, this is willow charcoal powder. And I would grab kind of a medium bristle paintbrush. This is meant for like acrylics. Could probably be used for oil and stuff like that too, but the big thing is it needs to be somewhat stiff. And then this charcoal powder, I'm not going to do this because it'll get everywhere. I've probably done 10 drawings with this, and as you can see, I've used maybe that much of it, right down with the label. So this stuff lasts forever. Couldn't tell you how much that cost because I got it as a gift for Christmas, and I use that when I need perfectly smooth blending. Like if I was going to do this sky, I would just put some on here and just start painting that out. Now, if I were a better person and better at math, I would have added all this stuff up and given you an exact price of what it would cost to buy all this stuff. But I'm thinking, you never do math on camera, but I'm thinking you could get all of this for under $50. There's no need to buy 10 different grades of pencils and the fanciest erasers and just massively expensive art stuff when you can just take the cheapest of the cheap. Learn how to do your drawings with 2 basic pencils, light and dark, and then if you want to move on from there, feel free, but there's no need to start out with the really expensive crazy stuff. So I hope this helped. This is what I use to do my professional portraits, by the way. This is not just me doodling. So I hope that helped, and if you have any questions, you can ask me on the Patreon or get a hold of me in one of the many places that I exist online. Have a good day. I'll see you guys on the next video.